Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Getting to Know You. This week, our guest is Bryan Kirkpatrick, a longtime parishioner at St. Sebastian's. I think since he was in second grade, he's been connected to the community and finishing up his 23rd year. Is this right, Bryan? 23 years of working here?
Since 98, yeah. So it's been a while.
Since 1998, you've been responsible for this building, huh?
In some form or another, yeah. That's 98. I started on the cleaning staff and just continued to go from there. So.
And you just never left, so they just keep letting you do different things.
Letting or making, it's a different story.
How are you today?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm good. Thanks for doing this interview.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're someone you and I talked about this about 2 months ago. You're someone I've wanted to interview for a long time because I know how integrated you are into the fabric of St. Sebastian's. I'm sure you got a lot of history and stories to tell, but I also know that, so much of what you do is like behind the scenes and working on boilers and stuff to the parts of the parish that people don't see. So I thought it was maybe a good learning opportunity too. But why don't you start by just, tell us about you. I kind of gave a little history. You've been connected to this place for a long time, but tell us about that.
Yeah. It all goes back to second grade. Started out a long time ago, and I think there's something about this parish and about this community that really pulls people here, right?
Yeah.
Once you get here, you feel a connection and you want to just keep going, and that's essentially where I'm at right now. About me, I'm a Gemini. I like walking on the beach and the trails. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's that weighted question that I always worry about.
I think it was a question that made you most nervous. Tell me about you. People think they want to talk about themselves, and then when you ask them, it's like, oh yes, what do I want to say?
What do I want to tell people? Yeah, for me, I guess it's what you said earlier. It makes a lot of sense. Going back to obviously we have the Kirkpatrick stage downstairs, and we do the student shows. For those, I was always backstage. Oh. I never liked taking the limelight. I don't push myself out in the front, but making things work behind stage where people don't see it. I think that's where I truly.
That's where you're comfortable.
I like that area.
So this interview being broadcast out to thousands and thousands of people is not
ripping my anxiety apart. Yeah.
Hey, that's a good question. I want to ask you about that. So your parents have been doing the school plays since the beginning of time, right?
Many people know about the Joe Nowak tree outside.
Yeah.
The first show that we did was Robin Hood, and it was a fundraiser for Joe's cancer treatment. And we never looked back. I mean, we're in year 30 something right now with the shows. I think we're pushing 30.
And you were involved from the beginning?
My brother was in the show. I ran the curtains on that show. And they slowly progressed and got better and better as the time went on. Special effects and all that type of stuff kind of improved and stages improved. The first show was nothing but 6 blocks. We had 6 square blocks out on stage and tried to make it with a hodgepodge cast, and it worked. And it's something that ended up sticking. And has been.
Why do you think that was so important to your family? Like, why until this day is your family still engaged in that?
They've always been. My parents, in particular, have always been huge in the theater. It's a huge portion of their life, and I think a lot of it is to help kids break down that barrier of the uncomfortable side of life. Right, getting out, making a spectacle of yourself. Being comfortable in front of larger groups. All right, that's why they continued on with the forensics program, public speaking, and all that.
Right.
And it really does. I mean, you see a whole bunch of these kids that go on into something that normally you wouldn't necessarily see them get into, because they're comfortable.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's been a huge blessing for my family. My daughter has been involved in forensics and in the productions. My son too, and we love them. We think it's such a treasure here in this community. So thank you to your whole family.
Backstage too. It's you have some of the kids that wouldn't necessarily do something like this. That it gives them purpose backstage, and you see them during the time of performance. They're locked in. They have their script in front of them, and they know exactly what they're supposed to do, when they're supposed to do it. And then after the show is over, then they're all over the place again.
Yeah, it is such a gift. I didn't have such a organized, loving program like that growing up, and I just see what impact it's doing. So thanks to your whole family. What you maybe talk a little bit more about your family. I mean, obviously they're talented and dedicated. What was growing up in a family like that? How did that serve you good?
Well, I think the again, it's been around the involvement. All right, what we can do for the community. And a lot of that, listening to some of my dad's just randomness that happens downstage, where he starts talking about Jerry Mahoney, and people have no idea who Mahoney is. 1940s kind of thing. I think growing up in that kind of centers you a little bit more. We have again a stronger bond with the community. And again, it's involvement. I think involvement has always been a big thing. Yeah,
and involvement is a good word. I would call it like a spirit of service. Like I just see that in everybody in your family. That's very clear to me. And maybe this is getting into like your work right now a little bit, but I would say like the hours that I see you put in, and I'm sure people don't know about this, but I like that is carried on to you. I know you work really crazy hours sometimes, right? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I mean, so we just came out of a rather difficult winter where we lost our snowplow contractor, for example. And so in order to make sure that we've got doors open, sidewalks clear, all that type of stuff when people need to show up, there are some times where it can be rather trying. Starting at about 4 o'clock in the morning and running until maybe 8 or 9 at night, that type of thing. But, those days, they don't really bother you after a while. All right. As long as you've got a set of earphones in, and you can just keep putzing around in the little, the Mustang outside and tooling around the sidewalks. It's not too bad. And I think a lot of it is, 2020 in particular has really shined on that aspect. What it takes just to make sure that this show can go on. All right.
Yeah. The show that is the parish.
Exactly. It needs to be open, and if you learn from the theater, the show must go on. No matter what it is, we do what we can to keep it going. And so I think that's what my daily task is, and whatever day's challenges get, that's just the challenges of the day. So
it doesn't seem to like nothing seems to throw you in my mind. I mean, I've seen you get a little animated, but but
only on a few occasions.
but mostly I would say you're very even keeled and just kind of roll with the punches and like you said, kind of do what needs to be done. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's at this point, after as many years, you come to expect a lot of different things. And in this career path, I can't plan for a single thing because you never know what's going to happen from day to day. So, it touches in on, I guess, a variety of daily responsibilities.
Yeah. We didn't actually name, to tell me your title.
Officially, I'm the director of building and grounds.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what I am anymore. I think it extends a little bit beyond building and grounds into other things, but
I think
it's
that's 23 years of accumulation of responsibilities, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Where are you right now? What room are you in?
I'm in my shop.
In the basement, in the lower level of the school?
You can call it the basement. I'm surrounded by concrete walls, so yeah.
But you find there's some greenery behind you. That's what I'm
I
wondering.
do. I have. I've been trying to refer to this as the Lazarus corner. Um, these are all the refuse plants that came out of the parish and the gathering space that were doomed for the garbage,
Oh,
and I couldn't let them die, so I brought them in here and put them under lights, and now I have something nice to look at.
it looks good. Yeah, it looks good. Like the Lazarus corner. I like that. Um, speaking of the buildings and grounds, you and I were talking a little bit about. I mean, there's a major project happening right now. Do you want to? I mean, might as well talk about it.
Exciting stuff. So we have a 100-year-old building, and in that 100-year-old building, we've got all of the all the complications that come from the winter elements that happen here in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
That bell tower over all the years has seen a brunt of freeze thaws, water infiltration. Everybody knows the water that appears itself in church over
Right.
that one section. And it's a structural issue. And so now we have a massive set of scaffolding up outside. The view from the top of it is hands down the best anyone has ever seen. So
Have you been up there?
multiple times, yeah.
Have you? Oh wow.
Yeah, and it's amazing from up there. But along with that comes the challenges, like I said, from the wintertime, and just general degradation of that stone and that masonry. It essentially acts like a giant sponge right now. And with cracks and stuff in the mortar joints, it soaks the water in, chases it into the building, and it follows path of least resistance, which happens to be in the church. We don't want it in the church.
No, we did not. No.
Right.
You told me at one point, like this has been a long time coming, probably.
Long time coming. Yeah. We have been discussing how to repair this thing probably, well, the entire time that I've been here. So at least the last 20 some years, it's been on the table that it is a known issue, and how do we address it? How do we rectify it? Different approaches have been taken over the years, where we've had new roofing systems put onto the church in the renovation in 2000. We've had a couple of other minor repairs that happened to the tower, but nothing to this level. Nothing to this, this one is impressive, and seeing it up close and personal is even more impressive. Just seeing how bad it was. It just answers all the questions that we've had for this long. But access has always been an issue. The scaffolding is not cheap.
No. I mean, yeah, it was quite a process to watch them put it up. But now we're getting to the root of this stuff, and it's like going to be a good long-term fix, and it's going to make the building not have to have buckets in the church all the time.
Yeah, buckets and tarps.
Yeah.
That's probably not the best thing in a worship space. No. But I think we're looking at probably a good 40, 45 years before we should be addressing this thing again, or looking at what
So God willing, you and I won't have to worry about it.
Yeah. I'm hoping both of us will be long gone by that point.
I'm totally out of order in my typical questioning, but I was just thinking like something that would be kind of interesting maybe for the people to hear about is thinking of 2020 and COVID, and like you've had a lot of responsibility as far as the sanitation of the building and safety precautions. Can you tell people about that? Because I've seen you, and maybe if people come early to mass, they see the spraying down, but I'm sure a lot of people don't even have any idea what's happening.
That is it. Well, it's been a challenge for everybody. With setting up for socially distanced areas, and bringing kids in, and the daily sanitization of the school, daily sanitization of now it's a daily sanitization of the church as we pick up speed a little bit. Um, a lot of those were trying to follow the blind rules from the CDC, where we really didn't know what was happening, and trying to incorporate what was going to work with us and with our staff and what we have the manpower for, and how to field all of these things. A lot of it was a collaborative effort with each one of the other ministries of the parish, that using the facility with diligence has really paid off. Knowing that we can't just immediately follow in and have another service because we don't have people here 24/7 to do that stuff. I think that was the biggest challenge, is as things started ramping up.
How to scale the cleaning.
Right. How to get in between and make sure that we're doing an adequate job to make sure that it's a safe environment for people to come to. But while still continuing to try and remain open and, inviting.
Yeah, inviting and available, right? So just in case people have never seen it, what happens in between masses, for instance, on the pews and stuff?
Right now, in between masses, we've got a team of 2 folks that comes in. Typically, it's myself and Dee that will come through, and we spray everything down, saturate the entire, all the seating areas. You may have seen the ropes that are up, obviously. Those are a indicator to let us know where people have been. So it's not just where you should sit; it's to let us know where you've been and haven't. So we know what areas that we need to address in between services. We'll spray everything down, wipe everything down, smooth it all out, let everything dry. We're hitting it with an extremely volatile disinfectant. Stuff has wreaked havoc on the woodwork. We've had to go through and re-oil the pews a handful of times just to make sure that they're not disintegrating the varnish that's on them. Which again was another tip.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a team. Go through, knock it out. At the beginning, we were hitting it with a team of 4 people and literally wiping every single surface down. Every pew was being wiped down. Every handrail, light switch. Those areas were still getting hit, but it is now the areas that we know where people have been, and we know that are safe in order to wipe them down where people are.
Yeah, and I've said this before, and other people have said this a lot, but I mean, it's worked. The safety protocols have been incredible. The distancing, of course, the checking at the doors and all that, but the behind the scenes stuff that people aren't seeing too, just the sanitization and the extra effort that's gone into it, I think has allowed us to, as people are comfortable, to gather and to be together and be church together. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure. I think I told Steve Raggets the other day that if this is what it takes to have people continue coming in who are paying my paycheck, obviously I'm willing to do that. So.
there's a little bit of a give and take there.
Exactly.
So yeah, you obviously you're doing a job, but you could do a job in a lot of places. I mean, being somewhere since 2nd grade and then working at a place of faith for 23 years, going on 24 years. I just invite everybody in the interview to talk just a little bit about their faith. And I wonder if, you being so present to one place of faith for so long has any indication of what your faith is like, but I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah. Obviously everybody has challenges, right? In life, they go, you've got your ups and downs, and having daily access to a church, definitely not a bad thing. Plenty of times where I've been, you go and you sit in the pews and you're talking, and
yeah,
somebody comes in, oh, I'm just checking this kneeler. I think, having the ability to maintain this house, which, to be quite honest with you, it's like home. This place is home. I've been here longer than I haven't. All right, there's no other place that I know more than this place. And it's comfortable. It's as it should be a church.
Yeah.
It should be a comfortable place to go. And I don't really think that that's work anymore. It's just maintaining this old house.
Yeah.
Which
I like that. That's a beautiful.
it is an old house. But yeah, it's, again, this place, this community, this parish is home, and it always will be.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you have slept in this building, correct?
More than I care to admit. Yes.
I thought that was true.
It depends on how long that duration of snowstorm is coming, and whether or not I feel comfortable driving home or not. So yeah.
So it has served as a literal home too.
On occasion.
But I mean, the way, I know you're joking, but kind of like maintaining this old house, like that is how we should think of church, right? This is our spiritual home, and God, thank you for letting there be dedicated people that feel as passionately about that to help take care of it. That whether it's spraying down the pews or erecting scaffolding to fix a bell tower.
All part of a day. It just happens to be Tuesday, Yeah.
So that was your Tuesday, right?
Right.
Bryan, my last question is, when you think about the future, what do you look forward to, or what do you hope for?
Oh, that's another big question.
Yeah, I do that on purpose.
Yeah, I know. And then you skip for the end. I think, again, it's longevity. It's I have always looked at. I think I told Father in the middle of the pandemic, when we were on complete lockdown, that my whole life's ambition at this point was to be able to keep this place open, keep these doors open when people needed this place the most. Okay. And during the lockdown, we weren't able to do that, and it was a very odd time. I don't ever want that to happen again. I don't want to have to turn people away.
Yeah.
That's not what this is about. This always needs to be an open environment, a welcoming environment where everybody knows that they can come, everybody knows that they can feel safe. And we're going to keep it alive as long as we possibly can.
Yeah.
That's always been the goal, and will continue to be the goal. So
well said. I mean, you're talking about invitation, accessibility, welcoming community. I mean, what's more church than that? So, and you do, but I don't, and probably people watching this don't always think about the physical maintenance things that have to go through to make that happen for people, right? And God willing, we don't have to have a shutdown again. So I echo your hope there. So, hey Bryan, thank you so much. This was a wonderful conversation, and I appreciate all you do for the parish. I know a lot of people do too.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you.
Excellent. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks. You too.
Thanks. Bye-bye.